Hey, what is up, everybody? Nothing at Random coming at you with a motovlog. It is a beautiful day in the low 50s here in central Ohio. Got off work. Didn't realize how nice it was until I stepped outside to get some mail, and you know, we don't get a whole lot of sunlight left. It's 3:30. Sunset's at like 5. Or sorry, sundown is at like 5. So we're starting off our little day of adventure off right at a gas station, because every day on a motorcycle is an adventure, and all adventures start with gas. So the holiday season is upon us. In a few days is Thanksgiving. So everyone, this video will come out much later than that, but I want everyone to know it's belated, but I wish you a happy Thanksgiving, or whatever it is you celebrate. I know not everyone celebrates Thanksgiving. And, you know, once Thanksgiving is over, then we have Christmas and New Year's, or for those of you who don't celebrate Christmas and New Year's, whatever you and your family and friends do celebrate. So I'm curious, do you have any typical yearly holiday routines, things that you've always done on holidays? Like, do you and the family take a vacation to a very specific spot? You know, do you rent a cabin in the mountains of Tennessee or anything like that? Because for my family, we usually just nothing spectacular. We usually just have our Thanksgiving dinner get together. Usually everyone brings a dish or two. So this year I was asked to make corn casserole, and for the first time ever they asked me to try and make a dessert. So I got my grandmother's recipe for peanut butter pie, which, oh man, I'm beyond stoked that she gave me the recipe for that, because that's the one thing I always ask her to make me at this time of year's a peanut butter pie. And I'll make the pies probably tonight or tomorrow, and then I'll go out to my parents' place Wednesday before and then cook the other thing I need to make in the morning the day of Thanksgiving. So I guess my routine is I'll spend the night before a holiday with my parents, such as Thanksgiving, Christmas Eve. I always stay at my parents' place, which is pretty nice because then I don't have to wake up and drive Christmas morning. Anyways, yeah, so Christmas, holidays, family. My routine for the ones I celebrate with my family, my parents and siblings, typically involves me going to my parents' home and spending the night there, the eve of it, and then being there through most of the day with them. There's a little bit of cooking, there's a family meal, and usually a little bit of just talking, you know, keeping everyone in the loop about things that are going on, a little more of like the more recent events, because we try to talk to each other pretty often. We all have pretty good relationships with each other. And I'm very fortunate for that and extremely thankful for that. Just wish I could somehow talk my brother and dad into us three going out on a ride sometime together. But my old man never has the time to, and my mom won't let him go on a ride without her. At least she thinks she won't. She doesn't know that he's gone out a couple of times this year without her, when he could sneak in a couple of short rides, which I don't know about, so shh. Last thing I want to do is get him in trouble around holiday time. But I've gotten to ride with my brother in group rides. I've never gotten to ride with him one-on-one, but he pretty much is almost always in a group. He doesn't ride solo at all from what I've seen, but he is part of an RC, so that kind of, I guess, goes with the territory. I'm not an expert. I'm not going to pretend to be an expert. It's just I never see him on the road alone. I always ever see or hear about him being out with at least 5 or 6 other members of his club. So, is what it is. That's fine. That's his choice. I choose to not be affiliated with a club. When they're doing a charity ride or something, I'll join them, but for the most part, I prefer to do this. I wouldn't mind having, like, you know, a few people to ride with semi-regularly, but as it stands, not really a viable option for me. So if any of you are reoccurring viewers and you watched my I believe it was my part 3 of the Forgotten Angels trip, you know that the ride home for me was extraordinarily miserable, and that's because I spent a stupid amount of time riding on the interstate in the rain on this little guy, or girl, she's a girl, and it messed with my head a lot. I didn't think riding in the rain was going to be as mentally taxing as it was, and I'm looking for a bigger bike, but I won't get a bike that I haven't had a chance to test ride and get at least, you know, 3 or 4 miles on, to get at least an inkling, a small inkling of a feel of how it's going to handle in the corners on the road, coming to a dead stop in traffic and having to hold it up with 1 or 2 legs, if you know. And I've been test riding a lot of stuff, and I'm going to wait until spring comes around and some of the okay riding weather for Ohio comes around, so I can go out on some more test rides, because I have a few ideas of what I'm looking for right now. Bikerwave. Whoop. I'm in love with the Lowrider ST, the Harley Davidson Lowrider ST. I know a lot of other people say that they have some problems with it, but, you know, I'm a very picky person, so I know no matter what bike I get on, I'm going to have specific issues with it. For me, some of those issues with the Lowrider ST could be very easily changed. Like, I'm not a big... The bar position, if they could just roll the bars back like an inch for me, perfect. If, you know, maybe a different aftermarket seat, because that stock seat kind of sucks. Or if I don't do, you know, a different seat, maybe take the pegs and controls and move them to a more forward position, one of those 2 things. But that's all aftermarket stuff, you know, that's all stuff that I would probably be doing aftermarket anyways. And I'm not going to change bars, I just need it repositioned a little bit for my creature comfort. But I'm looking at a Lowrider S or an ST. I would prefer the ST, but if I can only get an S, I'll get an S, and then do some work on that. The one thing I don't like about the Lowrider S, and I don't know about all of them, but I know the models that I've seen in person, they all have, you know, the speedometer, odometer, and everything right here down in the tank. And I'll be honest, I don't see, you know, even leaning back, because I would have a more straight up and down riding position on the Lowrider S or ST. If the cluster's down here, I don't see it at all. I don't see my hand. I see my fingertips right about here at the bottom of my cluster here. So that's kind of a big thing for me, because when I have a helmet on, and I've ridden without a helmet maybe twice, and it was to go a half a mile down the road to get gas and to come home to prepare for a ride the next day. So, but you should always wear a helmet. I pretty much normally do. But being able to see my cluster without having to dip my head down like I did sitting on a Lowrider S is kind of a big thing for me. I'm still a novice. I'm still a green rider. You know, I only have 2 years, despite it being 15,500 miles. I'm still a very new rider because of just, I don't think miles have anything to do about it. I think it's just like actual road experience. I've done a lot of interstate riding on this thing. You know, I've done at least 6,000 of these miles. I've been on the interstate, and the interstate isn't that bad, as long as, you know, you keep your wits about you. in my opinion. It's just, you know, for me, I love my Rebel to death. It's great for this kind of riding where I don't really need to go faster than about 55. But now that I'm getting into this point of I want to start going out of state to a bunch of these other events, like I've gone to Forgotten Angels twice, and that would be a long car ride, let alone a bike ride. And then I really want to go to the K River campgrounds for their Stubborn America rally. I wanted to go this year. It wasn't an option for me, and I'm really banking on trying to go next year. But I need something bigger than the Rebel. If the Rebel's all I have, it's what I'll do it with. But I just think that having something other than the Rebel would be a much more enjoyable experience, because I work a full-time corporate job, so I don't have all the free time in the world. I am relatively limited with vacation days that I have, so I have to pick and choose. So I can't just hop on the bike and disappear like I would love to do. That makes me have to use the interstate a lot more. It's my most viable option. But anyone that does road trips on a motorcycle will tell you, if it's a 9-hour drive, you best add at least an hour and a half extra, because of gas stops, because of the inevitable traffic you're going to encounter, and other reasons. Like, you know, I've timed myself, and I think the shortest amount of time I've spent at a gas station stopping to get gas on this was 8 minutes, and I think the longest I took, granted it was a bathroom break, get something to drink, chug it, you know, and get back up, fill up and get back on the road. But that still took me about I think 13 or 14 minutes. So averaging somewhere about 10-11 minutes per gas stop. Or let me rephrase that. I say gas stop, but I mean getting off the interstate. And that's if I'm off the interstate immediately in a gas station. That's not including I have to go like an extra mile down the road to get to one. So what did I say? Yeah, I'm looking for something with a larger gas tank. I'm not even super concerned about a bigger engine per se. I mean, I want more power so I can be a little more comfortable in the interstate and not be struggling to hold 75 miles an hour. But I'm not ready. I don't think I'm ready to go straight into a touring bagger bike. You know, I'm not. Everyone's telling me once you're moving, the weight's not an issue, you know, you'll learn quick, but I am a slow learner with stuff like this. You know, it took me 2 years of riding the Rebel to get to a point where I'm like, I'm ready for something bigger. Or, well, almost 2 years. I haven't had the bike a full 2 years yet, but, you know, this amount of miles on it would be the equivalent of most riders for 2 years, especially on something this small. But I am ready for a larger bike, a bigger engine, and a bigger gas tank, so that I can really start doing some of these trips I want to do more efficiently. You know, the Lowrider ST is like massive. You know, it's not weight-wise, it's only about 300-ish pounds heavier than this, which isn't much. Sitting on it in a parking lot and just kind of wiggling around on it, that 300 pounds doesn't feel like 300 pounds. I'd say it probably feels maybe like 150 at most. And I like it. And, you know, I could say the same thing about the Lowrider S, even though I haven't ridden it, but the S and the ST are very similar, other than the ST has a front fairing. And then I've also ridden, and really, I don't want to say I was impressed with it, but I did like riding it, was a Heritage. I test rode a 2022 Heritage, or Harley-Davidson Heritage, and it was very comfortable, it was very smooth. I had 2 issues with it. Something needed to change about the front windshield, because I was getting really bad buffeting from it at 35 miles an hour, let alone if I got on the interstate with it. So I don't know if I'd have to get a taller one. I'm assuming I'd have to get a taller one, or one of those like things you put on the top that adds like an extra 2 inches to it. and you can change the angle of the deflection. That might help. And then, like I said, I liked it, but it didn't impress me in the same way that the ST blew my mind. And the engine size between them isn't that big of a difference. A 2022 Heritage is a 114, and a 2022 ST, Lowrider ST, is a 117. That's not that big of a difference. But I also test rode a couple Indians, and I'm sorry, Indians are nice bikes. I get why people like them. I'm not gonna buy one. If someone gave me one, different story. If I won one out of a raffle and only had to pay like tax on it, different story. But I can't see myself buying one outright or financing one. There's just something about those bikes that didn't click with me. And then my other option is I've test rode a Moto Guzzi V85 TT, and that bike put a massive smile on my face. And I was really hesitant at first because I am not a tall person. I do not have a very big inseam. I think I have like a 29-ish inch inseam, which is not very big for a man. And I was able to almost completely flat foot the V85 TT. So I was comfortable enough to take it out for a test ride. I took it out for a test ride, and I absolutely loved it. It fits in my budget range of something that I could finance and would consider financing. But the Nicole, Road Warrior Moto, she suggested that I hold off a little while because Moto Guzzi is supposed to have an American release for what I believe is called the V100 Mandello. Don't quote me on the other part, but it's a V100. It's got a more of a sport touring style and setup, which I used to think I would hate, but now I'm a little more open to it after riding the V85. So I'm gonna wait and see if in spring Throttle Co gets a V100 that I can take out for a test ride, and if I'm comfortable on it, it might be a contender too. But you know, all of these bikes I'm looking at are MSRP, I believe, around $1,500 to $22,000. So about within roughly, you know, 6 to 7 grand of each other, which is a lot of money. So the pricing, and depending on how much I like a bike, can also dictate, you know, my interest. But then also, someone made a good point to me that I never considered: the maintenance in between. So how often are you gonna have to maintenance? Because like the Rebel, every 4,000. So I couldn't do like the K River trip, come back to my home, and turn around and do Forgotten Angels trip, because that would be over 5,000 miles. Because K River from my home is pretty much 1,000 miles on the dot. With the amount of time that event's going on, the riding that would happen there, the ride home, and the amount of riding that would happen in between that and the Forgotten Angels camp out, both of these being like in October, I would put quite a few miles on it once I got home, but not enough to, you know, hit that 4K mark. So I need to get something that's got a, you know, a larger service range. So that's going to affect my decision a fair amount too. And I don't mean like the break-in, I mean like after the break-in. And then just, you know, how do I feel on the bike? How does it look? What does the aftermarket look like? Because I've kind of into customizing a little bit. Not like performance-wise, that's beyond me and beyond what I want to mess with in my garage. But like bolt-on parts, you know, I like the club style look of a bike, and I like the feel of cruisers more than an adventure bike. But I'm also, dislike riding an adventure style bike now that I've ridden a few. So I've got too many options and no idea where to go. Ah, man, it's just beautiful out right now. It's chilly, but it's beautiful. I want my videos to do two things. Document what I'm deeming my adventures. And like I said earlier in the video, for me, every day on the bike is an adventure because it's never going to be the same. It's always going to be something new that happens. And two, to do what I'm doing now, to interact with this community, this amazing, fantastic community that I've now gotten to be involved with. You know, I've gotten to meet some of the greatest people I think I've ever met this year of 2022 just by riding, by going to the bike nights, by going to the campouts, by going to these different events. And it's mind-boggling to me of just how amazing, absolutely amazing these people are. And you know who you are watching this. Like, I don't have to call you out by name. You all know who you are. And just, you know, thank you. Thank you for being awesome people. You know, you guys and gals are gonna be one of the things I think of that I'm thankful for at Thanksgiving. You know, not to be all cheesy and mushy, but it's the truth. The community is king. This community is king. And just like that, we are on the interstate. And we're doing what this little bike isn't meant to do. And what I meant by doing what it's not meant to do, it's go fast. I'm kidding. It's a motorcycle. It's supposed to go fast. But it's just not meant for the interstate. It can do it. It's not meant for it. So I think my GoPro is about to die. And I can't really think of anything else to talk about. So we're going to end it here. Love y'all. And I want each and every one of you to have a good day. And I'll catch you all in the next video.